Most developers spend 30% of their day context switching between tabs. You write one line of code, Alt-Tab, refresh the browser, click the same 5 buttons to get to the login screen, open DevTools, squint at a tiny red error, and Alt-Tab back. It's not just slow, it's brain rotting. Every time you switch from your code to your browser, your deep work focus dies because of the context switch. You lose the thread of what you were doing because you're switching back and forth. It's exhausting. But what if your terminal had eyes? What if it could interact and even control your browser? What if you could stay in your flow state and simply tell AI, go check if the header's centered on mobile, or fill out this form and tell me where it breaks? Today, I'm going to show you how to connect Claude Code, a powerful AI coding assistant, to Google Chrome. You'll be able to automate your browser using just natural language prompts. You don't have to switch tabs, no more manual clicking. You can tell AI exactly what you want it to do. I've been testing the new Claude in Chrome beta. I even used it to find a CSS bug that took me so long to hunt down manually, but Claude found it in seconds by reading the DOM directly. And what's even better is it works with sites you're already logged into, such as Gmail or Notion, because it uses your browser session. So no messy API keys or headless browser setups that break every 5 minutes. Here are all the different use cases. You can use Claude in Chrome for, like I mentioned, live debugging. Since Claude Code can read console errors and DOM state directly, it can fix your code that caused them. This makes programming with Claude Code so much more powerful because it can actually check its work by simulating playing around with your app. Design verification, you can build a UI in Figma, then have Claude open it in the browser and verify that your design matches the app. Testing web apps, testing forms, checking for visual regressions, interacting with Google Docs, Gmail, Notion, all the productivity apps you use on a daily basis. Now, Claude Code can have access to those apps too. Extracting data or scraping data, automating repetitive browser tasks like entering data or filling out forms. It can even record browser interactions as GIFs if you tell it what you want it to do. So there are lots of use cases we're going to dive in today. Today we're going to cover the basics. How do you set up Claude Code with Chrome? What are the prerequisites? And what are some things you can start doing with it? By the way, my name's Sabrina Ramonov. I teach millions of people AI for free, and I previously sold an AI company for millions of dollars. If you want more content like this, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. And here are the 3 prerequisites to getting started. Number 1 is obviously Google Chrome. Okay, so Claude Code will not work on other browsers like Safari or Brave. This extension is specifically for Chrome. You can come here, code.claude.com/doc/en for English/Chrome, and you can read this here as well. You will need to download the Chrome extension. So if you go to the Google Chrome store, look for Claude. It should have 500,000 users and click Add to Chrome. Okay. And then the third thing you'll need is Claude Code CLI, and make sure it's updated to version 2.0.73 or higher. And you'll also need a paid Claude plan. I personally am on the max plan, which is $200 per month, but I find it's well worth it. If you have not set up Claude Code at all, this video is probably a little bit too advanced, but I'll point you to where you can do that. Go to code.claude.com/docs/en/overview and then click overview. Okay. And then just follow these instructions based on what computer you're using. So if you're using a MacBook, okay, you're going to want to open a terminal and click copy and paste it in there. So when I say terminal, open up your Mac apps and look for something called iTerm or terminal. It should look like this on the left-hand side. You're going to want to copy this command into here and press enter. Okay. And then the next step is to actually start using Claude Code by typing Claude like this here. Okay, so now let me go back to the prerequisites. Okay, so let's expand this. Okay, so this is your terminal. This is that we're going to use. I assume you already have Claude Code installed. You've already been using Claude Code. So the first thing you're going to want to do is Claude update. This will ensure that you're on the latest version of Claude that supports Chrome. And then all you have to do to launch Claude with the Chrome beta is do Claude --Chrome. This enables the Chrome flag so that you can run it with beta. I'm going to switch folders. Okay. So open your terminal and then navigate to just a random directory where Claude will be operating on stuff and writing files. And I assume you've already been using Claude Code. So the first thing you're going to want to do is update it and make sure you have the latest version. So do Claude update. Okay. So it shows you your current version and it'll install an update if you're not on the latest version yet. And then all you have to do to actually launch Claude Code in Chrome is do Claude -- Chrome. So that launches it with the Chrome flag. And that's all you have to do. To check that it worked, type /Chrome, right? And then you can see the settings here. Okay, so status is enabled, an extension is installed, and you can do things like manage permissions or manage the settings. Okay, I'm just going to press escape to cancel. And that's pretty much it to install it. So now we can do some basic things. Okay, so use case number 1 is using Claude in Chrome to test the app that you're working on. So here on the right-hand side, this is the app I'm currently working on in local development, and I'm going to actually tell Claude to open it up and test it. So I'm going to say, I just updated my app's onboarding. Can you open this URL and try submitting the form with the idea, let's say Claude Code tips for beginners, and check if a post is appearing correctly. Okay, so now Claude is going to open a new Chrome browser. Okay, so it's going to think about the task. Here's a new Chrome browser, and you don't have to do anything special to tell it to open Chrome. Claude Code is going to intelligently decide based on your prompt, should it use the Chrome browser as a tool to complete your task. So here it decided to do that. So you can see it navigated to this website, and now it's like figuring out what it should do on this website. So it's like clicking around. It typed in Claude Code tips for beginners. Again, you can see what it's doing here. It took a screenshot. The text is entered. Now let me click Start Week 1 button to submit the form. Okay, so now it's creating your first post, and now we see a post, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted Claude Code to test. Now, for a developer, you can imagine doing all of this normally manually. Like you update a piece of the onboarding, okay, reload your local environment, or if you have hot loading, great, right? And then you type something, make sure it works. So now Claude Code can do this, and it can even take the visual feedback or the interactive feedback it's gathered from testing your app and then go do something else. So you could say, if it doesn't work, then go and fix it. So this is one of the core use cases. And that noise is my signal that the Claude prompt has finished running. You can see it's results here, form submission work, post previews appearing, action completed. So this is its recap. Here's what's working, potential issues. Would you like me to click reveal full week? Since this is a prototype, this is supposed to be placeholder content, which is fine. So that's it for this use case. A second powerful use case is to automate interactions in apps where you're already authenticated. This could be Gmail, Notion, Airtable. It could even be social media sites like LinkedIn and Instagram. However, be careful. Don't automate too much on these sites because they are wary of automation. But here I have a LinkedIn post that I posted 9 hours ago, and we're going to try this and just see how well it works. So we'll tell Claude, open this LinkedIn post, like every comment that isn't from me, and summarize the overall sentiment of all the comments. So let's try this, and if this works, okay, and here's Claude Code opening a new tab. It's complaining no tab available, but it went ahead and just opened a tab. Now you're going to see permission requests like this. New permissions required. Claude wants to navigate to linkedin.com. Allow this action, decline, or always allow actions on this site. Just be careful with what you choose. And even if you always allow actions, Claude will not purchase items, create accounts, or bypass CAPTCHAs without input. And you can always manage all the permissions that it has in settings. Okay. So for now, just for demo purposes, I'm going to say always allow actions on this site. Okay, so here it opened the link that I told it to. It's authenticated into my LinkedIn account. That is the most important thing because that's one of the biggest issues with things like headless automations. And let's see what it's going to do next. Claude saying, I see the LinkedIn post. There are 100 comments. Let me scroll down to see the comments section. So I already liked a bunch of posts here. So I'm going to see, can Claude Code interact with comments that I have? Now it's asking me for permission. I'm going to say yes, go ahead. Now it's saying starting to like comments now. Let me click the like button on Karen Walters' comments. It did click the like button, but it didn't detect that I had already liked her comments, so it shouldn't have done that. It clicked see previous replies to open it up. Okay, now Claude Code has made sure to like all of the comments that are visible. So it actually liked Karen's comments again. It's scrolling down the page, right? So this is really handy, as you can imagine, for lead magnet comments automations on platforms that don't support it. For example, Substack does not have a ManyChats integration like Instagram has. And so you can imagine using a browser automation like this just to reply to people. For example, if they commented and you promised a certain follow-up or a lead magnet, then you could do that. Okay, so now I want to see if it will summarize overall sentiment of comments. So we'll just say scan them. You don't need to expand all replies. And what's cool is I didn't have to retype that instruction to open this particular LinkedIn post. Claude Code already has all of the context within our conversation. And that's what makes this so much more powerful than something like Perplexity Comments or OpenAI Atlas. We're actually using Claude Code at the end of the day, which has access to your file system. It has access to all sorts of tools, and it now has access to Chrome browser as another tool. So it really is only utilizing Chrome browser if it makes sense within the context of your request and conversation history. Yes, this particular LinkedIn post has a lot of comments. Claude Code is like, all right, that's enough. I've scanned through a good sample of the 100 comments. Let me provide you with the sentiment summary. And here's its summary. Overall sentiment, overwhelmingly supportive and encouraging. Pro-authenticity camp is the majority. Balanced middle ground. Practical suggestions. Relatable, empathetic. By the way, this post was about whether I should hire like a really fancy editor for my long-form YouTube videos or keep my videos really raw and unpolished like what you're seeing right now. And use case number 3 is data scraping. So for example, let's say you have a social media post. It doesn't have to be your own. Let's say it's on Substack and it's gotten a bunch of likes, replies, and restacks. Let's say you want to open up the likes and scrape this list. Traditionally, this would be super annoying to do, but now you can kind of do it with Claude Code. So let's try it out. So go to this Substack post, click 256 likes to open up the modal of people who like this post. And then let's say scrape the first 20 names and their Substack profile links. And here is Claude in Chrome, again, opening its browser. Here's the permission. I'm going to say always allow actions on this site. But again, this is something you want to be careful of and mindful of, and always audit the permissions that you're giving Claude Code or any other AI agent access to. One neat thing that I recommend is creating an entirely new Chrome profile that is limited to the exact tools and apps you want to give access to third-party tools like Claude Code. So it went to the post. I can see 256. I can see the number of likes at the bottom, and now it's going to try to click on it. Now it's using a JavaScript tool to actually find and click on that likes link. Okay, found the element. Let me click on it. All right, boom, there it is. That's the list of people who like this particular post. And it doesn't have to be your own post. You can look at a competitor's post and look at all of the people who liked your competitor's post. You can look at the people who replied to the post, the people who restacked the post. And for this example, I'm telling Claude Code just to extract the first 20 names, but obviously it can scroll down this modal and extract more than 20. Okay, he says it has 11 names so far. It scrolled down to fetch 10 more. And here's the list of the first 20 names and their Substack profile links. And obviously you can output this into a CSV or Excel spreadsheet if you want to analyze it further or import it into your systems. So this was a really, really neat, simple way to do data extraction, which normally would be a bit more annoying, setting up scrapers and all of that. Honestly, the most annoying thing is usually bypassing authentication and acting like a human, not a bot, right? And And just a word of notice, just be careful using this type of data extraction or automation on websites that are sensitive to automation. So LinkedIn is a really good example of that. TikTok website is really, really harsh. You'll hit a CAPTCHA every couple minutes if you're trying to automate anything on TikTok. But use this responsibly. It can definitely save you a lot of time, and it's really, really powerful. I'm excited for Anthropic to continue developing Claude in Chrome. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Drop any questions in the comments. This is brand new technology that's always evolving. So like I mentioned earlier, from a security perspective, I recommend creating a brand new Chrome profile and being very explicit and thoughtful about the apps and tools that you want your AI agents to access. Personally, for me, I'm not giving any AI agent access to sensitive information in my Gmail, in finance stuff, etc.